Hello, everybody, and this is Big Rick, and we're going to be talking sports. This is my first video vlog, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So let's get to it. The NFL season is about to kick off, and we are going to discuss the New York Jets and Aaron Rodgers. We're going to see how I feel about their chances about winning the Super Bowl. All this hype around them. We got them on HBO, on Hard Knocks. We're going to see how it goes. I'll let you know my feelings about the situation. Um, we're also going to discuss teams that should be tanking for Caleb Williams. Uh, there are some teams out there that need a quarterback, have been needing a quarterback for a long time, and we're going to discuss which ones I believe should tank. On top of that, we're going to look at last year's playoff bracket, and we're going to discuss which teams on that bracket will not make the playoffs this year and which teams will. And then we're going to go over my playoff predictions, my predictions for who's going to win what divisions. I'm going to take a stab at guessing their records, see which ones, how accurate I am. We'll revisit this in a year and see if I am Nostradamus, if I'm psychic. If not, well, I'll have to find another job. But for now, that's what we're going to do. And let's have some fun, all right? So let's begin the show. Like I said, let's discuss this Jets situation. Aaron Rodgers, certifiably a Hall of Famer, first ballot, right? It's not like Eli Manning. I'm a Giants fan, and I believe Eli Manning deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, but I know he's not going to get in on the first ballot. He's probably going to be second, third ballot, but he is certifiably first ballot, even though Eli's won more Super Bowls, and even though Eli's taken down Tom Brady twice, especially probably the greatest team ever put on the field. But that's for another day's discussion. We're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers and what he brings to the Jets. And will it work? And I'm here to tell you, and I know Jet fans are going to jump on me and say I'm only saying this because I'm a Giants fan. I'm going to tell you that no, it's not going to work. It's not. It's not going to work. And I'll tell you why. We've seen this movie before. You've seen it. When was the last time the Jets had a Hall of Famer on their team? A Hall of Fame quarterback, I'm sorry. It would have been 2008. 2008 was the last time the Jets had a Hall of Fame quarterback on their team. Now try to remember 2008 if you can. Who was that quarterback? It was Brett Favre, or Favre, like in that movie. I forgot the name of it. Something about Mary or something like that. Yeah, something about Mary. That was the name of the movie. But 2008, Jets went 9-7. He threw 22 touchdowns and 22 interceptions. Somehow, with those numbers, he still got into a Pro Bowl invite, which I can't believe he did. Didn't make the playoffs. It was horrible. I mean, if Eli would have thrown for those numbers, everybody would have been down his throat. Brett Favre throws for those numbers, he gets a Pro Bowl invite. But that was the last time you guys had a Super Bowl, a quarterback that won a Super Bowl on your team, I think, that I can remember. But a Hall of Famer on your team, and he came from Green Bay. Now you're basically playing the same song and dance again. You're getting a Green Bay quarterback who's past his prime, and we saw it last year with his numbers. His numbers were not what I would say Aaron Rodgers-esque. I mean, 26 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, and I put that on Aaron. Aaron did not come in during the preseason. He was on his ayahuasca trip and his darkness retreat because he needed to know if he had the passion to play football. And instead of learning to throw to these young wide receivers who he thought were subpar, but Some of them actually ended up being pretty good. Um, his numbers, I mean, they're not horrible, but they're not what we're used to seeing from Aaron Rodgers. The year prior, 2021, he threw for 4,115 yards. He had a long of 75, 37 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He, in 2022, had 11 less touchdowns, so he had 26 touchdowns, 3 times more interceptions, so he threw for 12 interceptions. He had about 500 yards less of passing, 3,695. So that's the Aaron Rodgers again. But also remember this: even though he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, he's not been successful in the playoffs at all. If you want to say like he's ever dominated a round in the playoffs, it would have to be the wild card round, and he's only 4-2 in that round. It's not like he's 6-0. He's 4-2. Then the divisional round, he's 5-4. Then you get to the NFC Championship round, he's 1-4. And in that one win, he didn't dominate anything. They won. They won by 7. They beat Chicago 21-14. He's lost 4 different times in that championship round. And you're telling me this is the guy that's going to lead you to the championship. So in 2015, they lost to the Seahawks 28-22. And that was the game. Remember, they were up 19-7 with about 5 minutes to go, and they blew it. Then they got blown out by Atlanta 44-21. Got blown out by San Francisco 37-20. And then got beat by Tom Brady 31-26. That has been his NFC championship. And don't forget the season they were 15-1 and lost to the Giants. Okay, so that's the guy you think is going to take you to the Super Bowl? And listen, Jet fans, I understand. You're not an organization that's known for having a quarterback. So when you have a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers comes in, you get excited. And I feel for you. Like, I lived in Jersey. I lived off of exit 13A, Elizabeth, New Jersey. I grew up there, right next to Newark. I lived right next to Newark Airport. Literally, I used to be able to drive to Newark Airport in less than 2 minutes. So I know how you guys feel. I had a lot of Jet fans, friends that were there, and every time the Giants won the Super Bowl, they would get pissed off, right? I remember Jet fans getting in my face when we were going to face off against the Patriots in 2007, and they were like, "Oh, you guys are going to get so annihilated. You guys are going to get creamed the worse than you did when you lost to the Ravens," and blah, 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 blah. And then when we won that Super Bowl, they all were pissed. They were angry because they couldn't believe we won another championship, and they couldn't believe we won it with Eli. But, I mean, think about the quarterbacks you have. In my lifetime, I can think of, when I think of Jets quarterbacks, I think of Kenny O'Brien. I remember Kenny O'Brien being a Jet. But I try to think of Jet quarterbacks that, like, were drafted by the Jets. Then there's Mark Sanchez, Chad Pennington. I was born in 79, so I might have missed someone in, around the time I was born. I see Richard Todd was on there from 76 to 83. I would have only been 4. I started watching football when I was like in 84, 85. So I don't remember Richard Todd. I remember Ken O'Brien, Vinny Testaverde. I rooted for Vinny when he was on the Jets because I loved Vinny Testaverde when he was a Miami Hurricane. I rooted for all my Hurricane quarterbacks, Bernie Kosar, Gino Torretta, and all of them. But yeah, Vinny Testaverde got you to a couple of AFC championships. Mark Sanchez did his best. Pennington did his best. But let's go back to 2008 again, right? And when Brett Favre was there, right? In 2008, who was he competing against? Like, what were the main quarterbacks back then? It wasn't Tom Brady, because that was the year Tom Brady was out for the season from the beginning. So his competition in 2008 was Peyton Manning. Right? That was the main one. That's the only one on this list that's going to be a Hall of Famer. Well, maybe. Well, Ben Roethlisberger, he'll probably be a Hall of Famer. Joe Flacco, I don't think Joe Flacco is a Hall of Famer. Kerry Collins, ex-Giant, I love him. Not a Hall of Famer. He had a resurgence with the Titans. Chad Pennington, ex-Jet, had a resurgence with the Dolphins. Phillip Rivers, he'll probably be a Hall of Famer, but he was always one of those guys where no matter how good he did in the regular season, he was never no good in the postseason. And even sometimes in the regular season, he could put up great numbers, but his team was just subpar. And I think that year they were 8-8 and won their division by some type of tiebreaker and made the playoffs. So I don't think they were that dangerous. So that was the competition of quarterbacks in the AFC. Now you're telling me that he's coming over to the AFC. Remember, he was in the NFC. And all this time in the NFC, he couldn't get past. Let's see. Who was probably the best quarterback in the NFC? I'm trying to think. You had Russell Wilson. Was probably one of the better quarterbacks. Dak Prescott, one of the better quarterbacks. I'm trying to think of a quarterback that ran the NFC, owned the NFC, or quarterbacks that just were really, really good that you had to worry about all the time. Eli Manning was there for a bit. He retired in 2016 or something like that. Last time he won us a chip was in 2011, so it wasn't like we did all that much after that. We had the one season where we got to the playoffs with OBJ, and then the whole boat debacle thing happened. I'm trying to think, who else was there? I can't think of anyone else, but let's look at the AFC right now. Right now, this season, these are the quarterbacks he has to deal with. We got Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is way better. And he never has any real weapons except for Travis Kelce. He turned Tony. The Giants gave up on Tony. He goes over there, and Tony wins them the Super Bowl, basically. So Mahomes has some type of magic. Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is like the new Joe Namath. He's just Joe Cool. I believe he's going to win a Super Bowl soon. Justin Herbert. If the Chargers could ever get a defense, he might win. He might win a Super Bowl if they could ever give him a defense. Trevor Lawrence, he's coming up. He's coming up. I think with Doug Peterson there, they finally get him the right coach. I don't know what the hell they were thinking hiring that. I won't even name him because he's such an idiot. He almost ruined that poor kid's career. Deshaun Watson, I still don't know what he's going to be, but if he ever gets back to being what he was with the Texans, he's an amazing quarterback. Tua, I can never pronounce his last name. Tagovailoa, sorry, Tua. You have a hard name to say. I'm sorry. Okay. Josh Allen, he's a gunslinger, but gunslingers do win Super Bowls. Brett Favre won one. He's a gunslinger. And then you got Russell Wilson. We got to see if he bounces back this year, or is it the same old thing? But still, even let's say we subtract Watson and Russell Wilson, we still got 3, 5, 7 quarterbacks ahead of them. Only 7 teams make the playoffs. So those are your 7 teams right there. I don't think he's better than any of those quarterbacks. And honestly, if I would have been the Jets owner, remember when the whole thing was going on with Lamar Jackson, where the Ravens are like, "Oh, we're not paying you." No, you go ahead and find someone who'll give us 2 first-round picks, and we'll trade you to that team. If I were the Jets, I would have jumped on that. I would have jumped on it. If I were the Giants, and I've been backing Daniel Jones, but I even said, guys, trade right now. Lamar Jackson's way ahead of Daniel Jones. Trade him. Trade the 2 picks and Daniel Jones if you have to. Go after him. This kid's legit. He already has an MVP. And the thing with the Jets is if you would have done that trade, yes, you would have lost 2 first-round picks, But Lamar fits the timeline. Your team is young and hungry. This kid is young and hungry. You got an old 38, 39-year-old Aaron Rodgers. What if something happens? And Zach Wilson's right there, right? So what is the plan? Let's say halfway through the year, I mean, that offensive line is bad too. So halfway through the year, he sprains an ankle or something, and Zach Wilson has to take over. Zach Wilson's not ready. The whole plan is that Aaron Rodgers is going to be with the team for a certain amount of time, and then Zach Wilson's going to take over. So 2 or 3 years, and then he takes over. Do you believe enough that in those years, Zach Wilson's going to learn enough to take over this team and continue making the playoffs with this team? Because really all you need on this team is a competent quarterback who can complete passes and not turn the ball over. Really, how I equate it, this is what the Jets need. They need Trent Dilfer. That's all you need. Remember, Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. He wasn't a great quarterback. All he had to do was manage the game. The defense is that good. But Aaron Rodgers, if anything happens to him, it's over for the Jets because you didn't even bother picking up a suitable backup. So, I don't know. To me, I think I would have gone after Lamar. He's younger. He can scramble. With that offensive line, you need a scrambler. He has a cannon for an arm. Yes, he's not accurate. I agree. He's not accurate as he should be. But I will still ride or die with him because even if he turns the ball over, you have a solid defense that could probably stop most teams. So, to me, it was a head scratcher that the Jets didn't go after him. I don't think this team will win the Super Bowl. It's like when I told my friends when the New Jersey Nets got, a lot of my friends started talking crap because the New Jersey Nets ended up getting KD and Kyrie, and they were like, "Oh, you Knicks fans wanted him. You guys missed out," and blah 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 blah. And I was like, "No, I wanted KD. I never wanted Kyrie. If the two came together, I didn't want neither. And you guys ain't gonna win a championship because it's not gonna work." And nobody believed me, and it was all over TV that they were going to win a championship. And they never did. I was right. And I don't believe the Jets are going to win a championship with Aaron Rodgers there. It's just not going to work. The AFC is too deep, and Aaron Rodgers is not that good. There are better teams out there that could beat him. So I'm sorry, Jet fans, but it's the same old song and dance. You draft quarterbacks that aren't good, and then you give up on them, and now you're bringing a quarterback over from Green Bay. I could just see it now. In like 15 years, Jordan Love's going to wear out his welcome in Green Bay, and I'll see him in a Jets uniform. So if you continue like this, you're going to be not winning a Super Bowl anytime soon. I don't care how good that defense is, because you've had great defenses before. Under Bill Parcells, you had a great defense, and you couldn't win the championship. So, Aaron Rodgers is not going to do it for you guys. I'm sorry. It's over. You stick with one championship. As of right now, you are with the Bears and the Saints. Those are one-chip teams. I think Seattle has a one-chip. I don't see you guys winning it this year. So, sorry, Aaron Rodgers will not win you a championship.